Dr. Battaglia, call extension 198. Dr. Battaglia, extension 198.
How long can this take? My son, you're back. Did it go all right?
Just a bunch of doctor talk.
What do you mean?
There is a 50% chance I have it, but
Hold on. 50%?
yeah. But I know I don't have it.
What about the lab results?
Results are coming in later. Let's just leave this place.
You know, son, I don't know how to get into this, but this is an urgent matter. It needs to be discussed.
Just because I told you I might have it, doesn't mean we have to talk about it. Besides, there is a 50% chance that right now, your car could get struck by another driver. It could kill us both.
Look, I know you're upset, son, but the chances of that occurring are much slimmer than what the doctor told you this morning.
Can you drop the subject, please? If I'm agitated, it's just because I don't want to think about this anymore.
Fine, I'll drop it.
Hey, why are we going left?
Just making a detour to a friend's house. Is that okay?
I have business to take care of at home.
Can't it wait?
No, I don't think so.
Where's that?
There is a guy that is waiting my call. I misplaced his number. I need to search for it on my desktop.
Is this urgent?
No, but I need to get it done, and I'm not up to visiting anyone.
I promised him a visit today. And look, I can see the doctor has upset you.
Look, I told you to drop the subject.
I know, son, you're not the easiest person to deal with.
Hey, I am who I am. Take it or leave it.
It's not the point.
Do you have one? Because I don't have time for this back and forth game.
Life is not a game. And you don't make all the rules, son. It's about compassion, understanding, and, well, a little bit of respect as well.
Don't start with me, Dad. Not in the mood.
Afternoon, Nick.
Hi, Bob.
How's life treating you?
Fine. You?
Just the same as always. Thanks for asking.
Come on in. Come on. How are the kids doing?
Well, Nathan has just started to learn how to play the piano, and his teacher told him he needs to practice every day for an hour or two. He wasn't too happy when he heard that.
I wouldn't want to either. What about Nancy? How's she doing?
Oh, Nancy has just turned 13 and going on 30.
What do you mean by that, Bob?
Oh, sorry, Nick. It's just an expression. It means that Nancy's 13, but she acts as if she's 30 years old. She likes to pretend she's older than she really is.
Oh, I see. I see. So she must be going to high school next year, right?
Yes. Can you believe it?
Gotta watch out for those boys, huh?
Well, she has her head on straight. You know, one time these two guys were bullying her friend Sarah, and she had to get physical. She shoved one of them against the wall, and she told the other one to stop, or she'd go tell the principal of the school. The two guys backed away and never bothered Sarah again.
Good for her. I wish I had kids.
I know, Nick, you're a good guy, compassionate, caring, very giving. One day you may meet the lady of your dreams and have a family and end up with some kids.
Maybe, but my time for that may be over.
Hey, buddy, how's it going over at Colleen's clothing store?
Oh, great. I love my job. It'll be 5 years next month.
Well, they should give you a raise, or better yet, an award for working all those years.
That would be nice. I should mention my friend Frank is paying a visit.
Oh, that's great. What time's he coming?
Very soon.
Oh, what do you say? Within the next 10 minutes or so?
I believe so. Um, he actually helped me buy this house.
Oh, you must be a real estate broker.
Yes, he is.
Oh, it's a beautiful home. That wooden island is quite attractive. Not to mention the kitchen. It's an open concept.
Oh, thank you. Frank is in the neighborhood this afternoon, so I've invited him over for coffee.
Well, that was a nice gesture from you. I cannot wait to meet him. Hey, do you want me to prepare the coffee or anything else before I go out and get you some odds and ends to get you through the week?
Sure. Coffee and cookies would be great.
I can do that.
You've all heard the saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Pay attention and you may find out that words hurt more than actions, sometimes. Hi, Frank.
Nick, how are you?
Fine, come on in.
Give me a minute.
Son, make it quick.
So, Frank, how you been?
Not too bad at all.
Got any new coffee mugs lately?
There's that keen sense of recollection of yours. Yes, I did. In fact, I just ordered a brand new cherry red mug with my initials on it.
Great. I know how much you like them.
Yes. In fact, I've collected quite a few over the years.
And do I have a surprise for you, Frank? This was for you.
Oh, Nick. Well, thanks, pal. You didn't need to get me anything.
Aw, just a little something I thought you would appreciate.
I do. Thank you kindly, and I will add this to my collection. Son, take a look at this. What do you think?
Shh. Have a call.
Guests. Could you show some respect, please, and get off the phone?
Listen, I need to go now. I'll call you later. Thanks. Bye.
Who are you?
Oh, this is my son, Edwin. Please excuse him. He was just on a business call.
Hello. I'm Ed Jackson, and that phone conversation was part of my job.
That's great. Nick Kinderwood. It's good to meet you. Are you going to stay a while, Edward?
I have no choice. Listen, don't call me Edwin. Call me Ed.
Sure. Come on in, you guys.
What is he doing?
Let it go, son.
Not after the way he treated me.
Why would you say that? He spoke nicely to you.
I go to shake his hand. He doesn't shake mine. No manners.
You don't understand. Nick has a
Let me tell you what I understand.
There you go.
Nothing like a good old cup of joe and a nice firm handshake. But to me, you should have asked if anyone wanted a coffee.
Oh, sorry. But I always serve coffee when guests arrive. So,
I'm not intending to drink it just because it's on the table.
oh, um, well, what about juice or water?
No.
it's Okay, Nick. I guess I'll have 2 cups of Joe myself then. Oh, you gotta love those chocolate chip cookies. Oh, thanks, Val.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
You sure, son?
I'm sure.
Oh, that's Bob. Come on in.
Your homemaker, I presume.
What do you need him for?
Bob, this is Frank and his son Edwin.
I told you, it's Ed. Don't call me Edwin, please.
Sorry, forgot.
It's a pleasure to meet you both. It's Bob Brown. Frank?
I see you're not afraid to shake hands.
Excuse me, I need to put some of this stuff away and clean up the kitchen for a second.
Laundry today?
Yes, I'll get to that right after I put the groceries away for you.
I'm guessing you must get an interesting paycheck for helping him out.
That doesn't bother me none. I'd like to help him out. Right, Nick?
I have difficulty completing certain tasks, so Bob helps me.
Everybody does, don't they?
Sometimes, son, people need more help than others.
All things is strange to me.
Oh, things that seem simple to you that may not be a problem for you, Nick can't do. This is why he needs assistance, and this is where I come in.
Wish I had a maid.
I'm not a maid, I'm a homemaker.
Same difference.
He just needs a little bit of extra help. Don't get fixated on this.
Doesn't look like he needs help.
Never judge a book by its cover.
What do you think? I'm a fool? I know all about that.
Son, please, that wasn't Bob's point.
Okay, Nick, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Give me that.
Ed!
What do you think you're doing? Give him the string back.
It's annoying.
Son, that is enough.
Yeah.
Thanks. Please don't do that again, Ed. I have autism, and it's very difficult.
Nick, you don't need to give him any explanation.
I didn't ask for one.
Gentlemen, could I have a word with my son?
Go right ahead.
What is the matter with you? You are quite frankly embarrassing me.
Aw, like when Mom left you? She thought that you were an embarrassment, and now hey, maybe it's rubbing off on me.
First of all, that's a lie, and there is no truth in that. And second, it's a low blow. Now listen. Nick has trouble looking people in the eye and shaking hands. Don't make a big deal out of it.
I'm not. He's ill-mannered. Can't he be trained to be polite?
Son, you're just being juvenile and judgmental again.
How so?
Just go back into that kitchen, take a seat, and mute it. That's all I ask.
Fine. 5 more minutes in this, and I'm gone.
So sorry about that.
Not a problem.
Oh, I have had too much coffee. I am going to need to use your bathroom, Nick.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Don't worry. I know where it is.
So, Nick. Good location to have housing, I must say.
Yes, your father was gracious enough to help me buy it.
Are you able to do anything on your own?
Excuse me? How insensitive can you be?
Look, I didn't plan on being here just so you could lecture me my insensitivities, Mr. Homemaker.
The name's Bob.
As if I didn't know that.
Look, Ed, I'm not fancying this conversation one bit.
Not
Yeah.
my problem. It's my dad who brought me here.
Well, that's evident.
I think you should calm down, Ed.
Don't tell me to calm down. I wasn't talking to you anyways.
Sorry, I was just trying to help.
Well, you're not.
You really just don't get it, do you? You don't have any respect for people with disabilities. You should. Understand?
Society doesn't understand. So why should I?
Oh, so do you just blindly follow society and not have a mind of your own? A person with a disability is a unique asset to the world we live in. They are truly special and have their own talents and gifts. Each person with autism is different. So if you meet one person with autism, you would have only met one person with autism.
Is this what you do for a living? Lecture people on their insensitive dialects and on special needs?
I'm not here to lecture anybody. It's common courtesy that if you meet an autistic person anywhere, you treat them with dignity and respect. That goes for all people, not just those with disabilities.
Do you really think I have such high regards for these disabled people?
You should.
Well, I don't. And that's good enough for me.
Are you okay, son?
I'm fine.
No, you're not. You just about fell over. Why don't you sit down?
I'm good. I just need to get out of here.
I don't think so. Nick, can you get him a glass of water?
Sure. Here you go.
Let's just not make a big deal about this.
It's only a glass of water.
Can we go now?
In a few minutes. You are in no condition to leave at the moment.
I'm just tired of being interrogated from all of you.
Now, what do you think that we're interrogating you?
It sure looks like it.
I think it's the other way around.
Oh, is it?
You're unquestionably inconsiderate.
Well then, let's call a spade a spade. You think I'm inconsiderate? I think your friend's a retard.
Don't call me that.
I already did. Hands off me, freak show!
Let's go home. Now. Son, your phone.
I'm not in the mood for a call.
You need to take this.
I already told you no.
It's the doctor. You need to answer this call.
Hello? Jackson speaking. Uh-huh. 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 Okay.
I'm so sorry, son.
What's going on, Frank?
My son has just been diagnosed with the most severe case of multiple sclerosis.
Hello, Nick. If you want, I can leave, but if you just give me a minute, I'd like to have a word with you.
Okay. It's been a while. Come in. Can I offer you a coffee?
Yes. I'd love one, thanks.
Here you go.
Is Bob around?
No, it's his day off.
I have something for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Listen, Nick, as hard as it is to say, let me just say it. I was rude, selfish, and inconsiderate. And I had no compassion for people like you. I am ashamed of what I did and what I said. Saying I'm sorry is just a word and it doesn't change the past. But it can change the future. I'm hoping you find it deep down in your heart to please accept my sincere apology. Are you sure?
Yes. Ed, there was a time in my life where I thought I wouldn't get any help and no one would care. I was lucky enough to have met Bob, who became my homemaker. He has taken good care of me throughout the years, and I'll never forget that. Should there be a time when you feel you're in distress, or when you feel alone, or when you feel discriminated against, or when you feel like the odds are not in your favor, or when you just need love and support, I will be there. I promise you. I will be there.
Mute. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out and seeing, not coming out, but welcome backstage. It's People's Living Room. And thank you for joining us for our opening show for our 2021 virtual season. Of course, it was Sorting It Out. So now's the time that we're going to do a live Q&A with some of the people that were part of the show. So first, we're going to talk to the playwright, Matteo Esposito, and then we're going to bring out the cast. So if you have any questions or comments, you can enter them into the chat, and then we'll take a look at them, and then we'll answer those questions. So first up, I'm really excited to bring the playwright himself, Matteo.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out to see the show.
Matteo. So thank you, Matteo. Just really, really pleased that you brought the show forward to us. And, I think one of the big questions is, as playwrights, we write what we know. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about how this show came to be?
All right. So the premise behind the show is basically a live experience that I had on a transit bus, Route 13 in Oakville, Ontario. And this guy was actually talking a bit down to me, ignorant. And I was telling him I was going to community living that day. and community living is where all the special needs people go in Oakville, and they should have one in every city and everything. Yeah. Um, so of course, sorting it out happened based on that. So yeah, it's basically that. I decided to take it and plop it into a 30-minute play and teach people about how we to treat other people with disabilities. It's simple and ingenious, I think. So thank you.
No, thank you. And yeah, I think it's a very relevant, theme right now in terms of being more tolerant and more, accepting of each other. And we're going through a very difficult time. And so, that you had the opportunity to see this done in two ways, like live and then virtual.
Right.
And so you had the opportunity actually in the live production of playing the role of Nick. So, what was it like being on stage and acting in your own words? Like,
yeah, so I saw it 2 times, and I was actually in the original production. I played Nick Kinderwood, which is the autistic young man, and I have to say both have different things, details, and everything. Like I was on stage, and I'm just reading some of these comments. You guys are beautiful people, I have to admit. Sorry, I distracted the conversation, Tim. But anyway, yes, please, yeah. Like, keep them coming. Keep them coming. I like these comments. Sorry, Tim. And sorry to everybody at home. I like to sometimes open my mouth, But anyway, aside from that, like both things are great. On stage you can do a lot, but on Zoom you can do a lot. Online you can do a lot, and you can get all the details, the small little details, like. And if you're sitting like 5 to 10 to 15 feet away, you can't really see the details of the set or the costumes.
mm-hmm.
But on Zoom you can, and yeah, so it's very different experience. But yes, I would say very different. Yes.
So what's really exciting is this isn't sort of like the last stop for sorting it out. There's some more productions coming up. So why don't you let the audience know where this show is going, which is very exciting.
Absolutely, Tim. So after this, it will be breaking to the States. I'm very happy to say that. Where I would love to tell you, yeah, I know. Actually, first of all, aside from this, I would love to bring it to schools in Ontario, and actually New York is very prominent in bringing this play to off-Broadway and a school tour in New York. So I'm very happy with it. I'm very blessed to have that opportunity. I'm very blessed that, the States and whoever picks this play up, they know that not necessarily it's a good show, but it's about the message. And I think that when people come to see the play, sorting it out really talks about ignorance, but it also talks about not judging a book by its cover. It talks about all these little hidden messages, and I think that's what makes the play. And I think, yes, off-Broadway can call you because of that theme, not because I'm good or the play's good, because of the message. They want a message. Like, we need a play. This is like a Teutonic play for a times, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I would love that. And I think New York is coming very soon. So I don't know. I think the producer is pushing the delay because of COVID.
Of course.
But of course, yeah, we have to be cautious of that. But I'm very excited about that. And I think this guest is for high schools, especially because of the fact that these young men and women are going to college, university. But what if they have an autistic child? What if they have a Down syndrome child? We need to educate these young men and women before it's too late. Anyway, yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and and I think we need more and more really strong message shows to kind of tour through schools and help, because it's just a great way of educating. So we do have a question in the chat for you. So it's Matteo, how do you feel about how the actors portrayed the words you wrote? So these actors bringing your words to life. So how do you feel about that?
I feel great. These actors and you, Tim, have been amazing at what I wrote on the page, and of course on the actors have been fantastic. They like top notch. Like I dealt with many versions of my play, but this is the most recent one, and I have to say that in some cases, you know, yes, it's great, and the words that I wrote, it's always good, to whoever's watching, to you, Tim. It's always good to have after you wrote a play or after you wrote a film to see actors translate it. So I feel honored to actually have you guys do it and have the audience watching. It's just a blessing, really, a blessing. Well, I want to say what an honor it is. Yes.
No, and one of the things that I wrote about you saying is that it's a very poignant play, but you're a very passionate playwright, and when we have to have that sort of grit and determination when we're promoting our work, and I can't thank you enough for how much you've really championed this, and yeah, so we also have James Montague, who's event planner, and helped get this. Is looking to help you get this to school, so he's always here for you. James, of course, was a supporter of the show and here today, so we can't thank him enough. So you have a lot of support, and we can't wait to see what you write next. We're just going to put you back in. We're going to put you backstage, and I'm going to bring out some of the actors. So thank you, Matteo. All right. So a couple things before I bring out the actors, just to let you know, we have a lot going on with the OTG. Of course, our season this year is a virtual season, and we're making it completely free. In order to do so, we've decided to, trying to pull up the little cards here. Not coming up. That's okay. We've made it a completely free season. And so we're running a fundraiser, and it's called Help Us Shine Bright. So you'll notice I'm wearing this little hoodie with that light on it. You saw it during the pre-show in the slides. Any donation helps. So if you've really, liked what you've seen today, a couple ways you can help us. Send us a donation. Any amount helps. Or spread the word about our 2021 virtual season. Send people to botg.ca. And so to help the fundraising goal, it's at canadahelps.org. Tax receipts are available. So we can thank you enough. And, after last night's show, we've seen some donations come in. So thank you so much. And we can't thank you enough for your support. That being said, let's bring out the cast. So here we go. So he played the role of Nick. Adding to the stream, we have Sievert. And then played the role of Ed. We have Primitivo. I'm going to put this back. Oops. There we go. Getting used to the StreamYard thing. And then we have Nicholas as well as Ted. So Nick played Bob. And there we go. That's what I was looking for. Now I can see everybody on the same screen. So welcome to the cast. So the first thing that was in the chat that I think I want to dive into is, what was it like adapting the show for this new virtual world? So I would love to hear from the director and actors as well. So for the audience out there, this show was completely done via Zoom. So all our rehearsals were done on Zoom. We recorded the entire show on Zoom. And we recorded it sort of like over the course of 2 weeks. So we had 3 green screens to go around, and 2 actors had them at a time. And then we basically then cut it all together. But yeah, Jessica, absolutely, acting in the virtual world is completely opposite to what acting is about. It's about personal connection in person. We're feeding off of each other's energies. We're working together right in the same space. So I think we'll turn it over to the cast and talk about the difference for adapting a show into the virtual world. So Sievert, we'll start with you. So what was it like doing this virtual production? That's, it's not a light show. So, here we are diving into this, but we can't be in the same space.
Yeah, it was interesting because a lot of the filmmaking, or a lot of the play, was kind of like, became like acting for film. It was very much very much more subtle, a lot more like subtle, and a lot more less physical, less big. Because I'm a theater actor, so I like to do like big physicality, but you kind of can't do that here. No. And so it was a bit of a learning curve for that reason, and it was also a bit of a learning curve just in the sense of how to like portray like a lot of like the physicality of this character and the physicality of like this play. This is a very physical play, and like there's a big segment at the end that's a very physical segment, and like and it's hard to do that on Zoom or on, so like it's basically there's like a learning curve of how to show what you want to show without showing it, if that makes any sense.
No,
So,
it does.
Yeah.
No, it's perfect. And Ted, what about you? What was it like? I know you're doing a lot more, as we were working together, there was a lot of opportunities that you were involved in during the rehearsal process for other virtual productions. So a bit more experience on it as well. So what was it like, and how has it been, adapting for you?
I think the hardest thing about this new format, because it is an interesting hybrid between film and theater, is that you're aware of your frame. So what I was very aware of during our rehearsals and when we filmed it was trying to keep enough where I did get my hands up into the air, so that it wasn't just sort of like a talking head type of thing. So when we had, here's the coffee cup, it was like, yeah, let's try and see it. When I was talking about, well, you don't understand about it, it was, well, you don't understand type. So it was trying to bring, rather than this being sort of a static image all the time, trying to bring in other things so that there was some movement in the space. The other thing, of course, is because we are doing it on a Zoom platform. When we were filming, of course, you can see everybody else, and it's a challenge to make sure that your eye keeps looking at the camera, or wherever your laptop camera or cell phone or iPad is, and yet you're still looking at these 4 other boxes, and to try not to be distracted, so you're not like talking and looking around. So it's a particular skill to try and act while viewing yourself, because you're always aware of what you're doing. So it's a real sort of meta consciousness thing going on. What I found was I ended up taking the Zoom platform and just moving all of the images down to the bottom third of my laptop, so that people were there, but I wasn't as distracted by what was going on. I could just sort of look into the camera and go. And then I also mentioned yesterday, the other thing that was particularly helpful is the listening part of it, just paying attention. So even if I couldn't quite see what was going on with my fellow actors, you could always hear everybody. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, it's a funny point, because I won't speak for anybody, but I know for myself, you catch a mirror and you're like, oh, I got to look at it for a second, and this is like acting in front of a mirror for the whole entire time, and you can't help but gravitate yourself towards looking at yourself. And the other interesting thing too is, like, theater, we at least have it in the moment where it's you do it and it's out there and it's done. This sort of is almost taking us into the world of film and television. And, there are actors that don't like to look at their dailies. Just like, I don't want to see myself. Or like when you watch yourself, and this way you're seeing yourself while it's happening, and then you have to watch it in playback as well. So excellent. So let's talk a little bit about the script itself. So Primitivo, I'll go over to you. And I know, you had a very difficult character to portray. And, talk first, like, what gravitated you towards the script, and then a little bit of your process of diving into playing Ed.
So after I saw the breakdown, I really loved the overall message, and having the opportunity to actually read over the script before the audition, it was just a beautiful piece. I mean, I would be lying to you saying that, like, oh, I loved Ed and I would have loved to play him. Like, I'm the complete opposite. Like, this character is obviously not me. Like, I'm not that much of a cocky, arrogant a-hole, but just to really understand his, like, dive into his backstory and really understand his, like, motivation and why he behaves like that. Like, it made me, like, really empathize with him and really make him more human. And just for, I mean, obviously to play something very opposite towards me was a great challenge for me as an actor. So it was really great, honestly.
Yeah, and it's not tough. It's not easy, I should say. It is tough
Oh,
when we have to play these
yeah.
characters that aren't likable, that but there's so much depth to each of these characters, and I think that was what drew me to the show. And then understanding, okay, here we are, we're going to have to do this in a Zoom platform, we're cropped, like we don't even get the full physicality, and there's so much to be said when we're staging something in a live space. And there's something to be said about the movement and distance. Distance is a thing that I like to play with a lot when we get into a space, like how far apart, upstage versus downstage, and in angles of bodies. And you had nothing like that. This was like our 2021 virtual season should be sponsored by South Park, because it's literally, we're just in this two-dimensional world, and it's but the characters that Matteo wrote translate so well to this format, because you just get caught up in who they are. So for you, Nicholas, I know Bob is a risky character, because and it's interesting because I think I was talking to Matteo, and some of the places that Matteo has submitted it, feedback that he's received is to perhaps remove the character of Bob. But I love Bob in this show, but he can come across as a character that potentially is very preachy, and because he has the education, right? He is the one that's educating Ed. So talk a little bit about your process of digging in to play this character.
Yeah, for sure. I think as I was hearing from Matteo talk, I was like, oh, interesting. For me, Bob is very much who I am like out in the world. And so it was this great chance to be like, and Tim, you helped a lot with that as well, to color the speeches and to realize to not come at everything on one note. I in this changing world and all the things we're learning about each other, the best thing that's coming out of all of this is we can have conversations again. We can, slow it down. We can talk to each other. There's going to be differing opinions and views and things like that. But if we can take that time to kind of try to speak up, but in this way that, hopefully someone would hear it. So I think there's a lot of good reminders in here. I'm always trying to learn from this character as well, that, yes, we can speak up, but maybe we can try to get towards more of a dialogue, right? And I think as well, we kind of, we weren't sure about the idea, and it still felt strange to me that Bob was speaking up so much when Nick's right in the room. So I think another thing for me to remember as well, if I'm in this kind of situation in public, is to try to help someone else to amplify their voice as well, and be more of an ally in that way. So I think there's also a reminder that we don't have to do all the talking all the time. We want to make space for others as well and lift them up.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you look at the context of the show. I think it really kind of plays into that pay it forward, and it's interesting in that last scene with Nick and Ed, and Nick really draws on his connection and his experience with Bob, and that's what he's going to then be able to do with Ed and Ed's situation moving forward, and I think it's I think it's just so important, that sense of we have to lead by example, and there is that need to things will be said, mistakes will be made, but to have that apology happen, to sort of take steps towards becoming a better person, a better human being is so important. So Sievert, let's talk about the character of Nick for you, because this was a unique opportunity to portray this character. So talk a little bit about your connection to Nick and diving into this character specifically.
Yeah. I have a disability as well. And I'm also on the spectrum. And so for me, it was just a unique opportunity to play somebody who, a character that I haven't seen before in a lot of ways, just in the sense that he's disabled, and it's not a tragedy that he's disabled. It's just a part of who he is, and it's not something that, and the issues that he faces have nothing to do with anything with him. It's all to do with Ed, basically. It's somebody else and somebody else's prejudice. So it's kind of it's more accurate in that way to what it's actually like to be disabled. It's not, the issues that we have is not really to do with us. It's to do with, you guys. No offense. And I think for playing Nick, it's sort of it's interesting because I'm not as forgiving. I don't think I'll be as forgiving of Ed as he is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think finding like that sort of those places of like of compassion and also of understanding, I think was definitely an interesting was an interesting process, and finding out like how like he has changed, and how how did he get to that point where he was able to forgive Ed, was just a really interesting process. And again, like I haven't seen a character like him in that way, in the sense that he's not as he's a lot again he's a lot more forgiving, and I think that's a really unique thing. So
it's interesting because we just had a question pop up in the chat that I think kind of is perfect. In the 6 months between the last two scenes, what process do you think Ed went through to reach a place where he can apologize? But also, like, what do you think Nick went through so that he would accept the apology? And like what you said, like you yourself would probably not be as forgiving. And it's also very interesting too when we look at where this play came from. So, like Matteo wrote this play based on experience on the bus, and just imagine, 6 months later, if somehow it'd be a lot weirder if this person just knocked on his door after an encounter on a bus, but there to apologize. I think it shows a real testament to Matteo's idea on forgiveness as well, to kind of take the show to this place and then be able to kind of write a scene with forgiveness. So let's start with you, Primitivo. So what do you think went through Ed, that he would come to a place of apology?
I think just the whole entire treatment for his MS, like I guess from his chemo and his dad being his homemaker now, was what really basically snapped him into his place. That like look what happened to you now. You're no better than anyone, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting because what was hard in the show, and we have to give a lot of thanks to Matteo, there was a lot built into the show for the live production. So in that moment, Ed comes to Nick and he needs the assistance of a walker. So you see that his physical capability has changed, and it's hard, because we only get this much, and the character of Ed looks like he's fine. He's because we're only seeing this, we don't get to see the change in the physicality. But working through this with Matteo, it was really good to kind of say, like, look, there's no really strong way for us to portray that without it being maybe misinterpreted, or the audience really going like, well, what was that image? Because I was thinking, I'm like, do I put it behind as like one of the backdrops? But then it was like, who's that for? And and I really wanted that last moment just to be about that forgiveness and that apology. But what was really really interesting was the other adaptations that had to occur with this piece. And Ted was really great about understanding, and again, when we don't have the ability to get out of this frame, can't go anywhere on a stage, be in a distance where the audience would accept the fact that they're not hearing. It's like, you're here, you're part of the conversation at all times. That became a bit of a struggle. So Ted, talk a little bit about some of those, limitations that we were able to kind of work on and adapt.
Well, one of the things we had was, or that I had discussed and we all agreed upon, and thankfully Matteo was gracious enough to allow the change, was that when the father and son came back in from their little side chat and, behave yourself and let's keep going. In the original script, the father was on for quite a long time. And I just kept looking at it going, there's no way, I myself, so maybe it's a reflection on my own personality, but it was like, there's no way I would keep quiet for so long and watch this train wreck happening and not try and interject. So we came up with the solution of, he'd been drinking too much coffee and he disappears off into the bathroom, which I think worked in this instance or in this format, because then it took me out of the space, oblivious to what was going on, and then I come back in just sort of at the tail end. And so I think that made logic sense. As you said, if we were doing it on the stage, it might have been a case where I went off and explored a little bit more of the house in terms of, oh, look what Nick has done since he's moved in here, and oh, that's a change or whatever. So physically, as you said, I could be off in the distance and somewhat oblivious. But when we were in such close quarters with the filming, it was like, oh, what can we do? So I was really thrilled that we were able to make that change. And again, as I said, that Matteo was agreeable to the change.
Yeah. And it's there's so many things that we have to adapt doing it in this virtual setting. And, I think, what we don't realize is a huge part to acting is that reacting is hearing something. And then the moment we hear it, will then provoke that response and that emotional response. And one of the struggles with with online is latency, right? So even right now, as we're talking, as I'm like broadcasting this, I think there's like a 15-second delay for the Facebook and YouTube user, like guests to be observing it. So, like sometimes we're dealing with this latency of this back and forth, and it's a bit of a struggle. So, I think each of the actors did such a fantastic job in terms of like overcoming all those difficulties that come into doing it in this format, like not being in person with each other. The only time we were ever in the same space was like when I got to like hand off the green screen and some props to the individual. And even then it was just like a quick, like, hi, bye, masks on, hop in the car, get out of there. So, the having zero connections. So everybody you see on the screen, other than myself, have never met face to face in person. So it's kind of crazy to think that, this is the show that's come together and they've never met. So I guess the last thing that we'll finish up on is it's a good opportunity. This is our last shows. 2 shows. We'll have it up on the pages for audience members to view for some time, and then so I'll talk about after a few things that Burl Oak is going to be doing that we have upcoming. So, but this is what I want to find out. Do you have anything upcoming that you want to promote? So it's a good opportunity to promote it to our crowd.
Yeah. I have a couple of upcoming things right now. In June, my Second City, I'm part of the Second City Conservatory. So my Second City Conservatory class will be presenting on the main stage, the Second City main stage, our sketch review.
That's awesome.
So that's in June. And then in October, I'm going out to Vancouver to perform in Promethean Theatre in Granville Island, in King Lear, in a production of King Lear. Right now those are the 2 big things that are coming up.
Horrible to have to go to Vancouver in the summer. Just here, it's just horrible out there. That's where I'm from. I miss Vancouver summers for sure. But that's incredible. And I know Primitivo, you're part of the Second City Conservatory as well, right? So do you have your performance coming up?
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Not yet.
No.
Okay, no. I'm gonna get on the phone. Like, where's our show? But it's so good that the 2 of you are doing the conservatory. I had the opportunity to do one improv show with Oakville Improv online, and it's like so different doing improvisation in this format as well as even sketch comedy. So, so keep us posted. Let us know what's going to happen with those. Ted, what about you? Anything upcoming?
I think I may be doing another student film.
Nice.
I've actually just finished doing 2 for, I'll plug the Toronto Film. What are they? The Toronto Film Group. It's a
Toronto Film School.
That's it. I was like, what's the last word? So it's the Toronto Film School, and they've just now been given the green light to go back and start filming again. I was actually supposed to have filmed something in December, and 3 days before we were supposed to shoot, it was canceled by the school or postponed, and it was supposed to happen at the beginning of February, and then it happened at the end of February, and then after that, through that, I picked up another one with the same group. Another prospective director, filmmaker had seen the work and had inquired whether I'd be available for another role. And then that worked out well. And they've all been very interesting in terms of how they are dealing with COVID, and everybody's masked and people are face shielded and everybody's sanitizing their hands. And in terms of catering, it's like, here's your bag with all the food in it. So everything's all individual, and there's no more than 2 people in a room at any given time. And so I have to give them all a shout out for being very diligent and responsive to the issues at hand and the health issues at hand. So they've been very good. And then, like I said, I'm part of my Zoom education has been with a couple of groups where we meet once a week, and I have one group that reads Shakespeare once a week, and another group that I think is going to delve into Shaw. And it's interesting because the connections, there are some people I've never met live, ever. And through the Shakespeare group and the Shaw group, there are people now that I feel like I have a connection to, though I have never, ever met them in person. It's just all been through a Zoom call.
Yeah, I know. It's so bizarre, and I just can't wait to get back to being able to do this in person again. And so, Nicholas, for you, it's like coming back after a 10-year hiatus. You looked at the status of things, and you're like, theaters are closed, pandemic. All right, I'm coming back to theater. So welcome back, and thank you. You've been a gift to work with. But anything on the horizon? Anything you've set your sights on in the next little bit?
For me, it's kind of, I'm just going to see what's out there. But I think something that harkens back to the question before about how we adapted for the new times is it's a little bit easier to be seen and find out what's going on, but also the pressure's off. So I hope there's this like hybrid when we come back, because auditioning on Zoom, you can have your script on your screen, so you're like more focused on what's going on. It's this really cool way. I didn't feel really nervous about any of it or the auditions in this process. You could just be yourself, and there wasn't a drive and someone stresses you out or this thing happens and you're like, there was that. So that would be cool to kind of have a hybrid of that when projects start going forward. I love to sing as well, so I'm looking forward to musicals coming back. I know that's a ways off, but I'm going to keep on, training at home and start getting ready for when that happens. So.
That's amazing. So I'm going to quickly bring in Matteo. So thank you, Matteo. There was one last question that came up in the chat, Matteo, that from Tyler Collins at Oakville News, and just was basically wondering, is there anything like what's next for you? Like, what's the next play that you're working on?
I have a few in mind. I can't really say right now, but my main focus is on sorting it out. And I have to admit, you all have been fantastic to work with, a dream to work with. So thank you. Thanks each and every one of you for helping to bring this story to life. But yeah, sorting it out is on its way.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much, Cass. It's so bizarre to have a closing and not be able to go out and have a cast party together. But we do. We have a virtual meet and greet that we're going to do to kind of celebrate all the work that's being done. So I'm going to put you all to the backstage, and then just a few announcements for everybody. So thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, thank you, audience, for being a part of this. I should actually add myself to the stream because I don't know if people can hear me. As I mentioned, we have a fundraiser going on. It's our Keep the Lights On fundraiser, so where we can shine bright again. Go to CanadaHelps.org. I actually have it in the banners here that I can then wrong one. Here we go. So yeah, so we're trying to raise $20,000, which will help sustain our studio space. You can email it directly to treasure@botg.ca if you want. Our donations to us are taxable, or you get a tax receipt, I should say, not taxable. And and if you do it through canadahelps.org, they're fantastic in terms of just gaining your receipt. This is our way to kind of help shine bright. So as I mentioned, that we do have the logo where it's right there. And why we're using this logo, the Fresnel, is because if our audiences and supporters donate 100 and up, the name will get added to a light, and that light will be shown at all our live shows moving forward. It'll be displayed in the lobby. So please help us out if you can. Spread the word about BOTG. Get people to come to our website, our Facebook page, and like us and follow us and share our posts are the biggest ways for us to get the word out. And last but not least, we have a very exciting next show coming up for our 2021 virtual season. It is our new play festival. So we have 6 new plays by playwrights that have submitted their plays last year. The chosen plays were then paired with a professional dramaturg, Marcia Johnson. So they had 3 workshops each to kind of work and develop their piece with the intention of doing a stage performance of it. But with the restrictions, we still can't meet again in person. So we are doing Zoom style readings and Zoom style recordings of these 6 performances, or 6 plays, I should say. That's going on April 9th and 10th, both at 7:30 p.m. Same place, Zoom. We'll be doing it on Zoom, but we'll be showing it on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for being a part of this. And we can't thank you enough for supporting Burl Oak. We're committed to entertaining you for the rest of 2021 after the new Play Festival, working on an original cabaret-style show called All the World's the Stage, inspired by the life and works of William Shakespeare. And then after that, we'll see where things are at. But we are working towards our pantomime for 2021, which would be our 9th season. So thank you so much. Be safe, stay well, and we can't wait to see you live again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.